And see, we don't force you to buy our products like government does the barrel of a gun. You just support us because of free association. All right, coming up in the next segment, I'm going to take about 45 minutes of calls. The last segment, I'm going to get into the FEMA camp documents and how this ties together with targeting veterans across the United States. But I was reading this really powerful article by Porter Stansberry, and he was going over examples of just incredible boondoggles. The man with 10 jobs getting $500,000 a year. When asked about his pay, Mr. McCampbell told the Tribune, I didn't hold a gun to anybody's head. No, you just put fluoride in their water so they'd be mentally retarded. To get this, I'm not trying to do anything bad. What kind of world do we live in where neither this guy nor any of the other local officials who approved of the contract see a problem with the situation? And wait, there's still more. McCampbell also was given a free car and free gas, all paid for by taxpayers, who also covered the premiums for health and life insurance, as well as his pension contribution. Asked by the Tribune if he ever felt like he was being overpaid, McCampbell told the newspaper, I truly didn't. And to top it all off, taxpayers are still not done paying McCampbell. Because of salary bumps, bonuses, and cashing out of his unpaid sick leave, McCampbell was able to dramatically increase his final year's pay, which in turn gives him a pension estimate to be as high as $264,000 a year. McCampbell, who was 55 years old when he retired, could eventually live another 30 years or more, which could make his inflated pension worth $8 million. And don't forget, he didn't contribute a single penny towards his pension. That was also covered by taxpayers. Unfortunately, in America today, there are Roy McCampbells in every state, town, municipality, and in every level of government. And it goes on. Right over here, it's got the $5 million toll booth worker. I mean, it's a big article. We got into just a few little areas of it. And this is why government is so arrogant. This is why they don't care. This is why all their minions have such hate for us and enjoy oppressing us, and why the TSA, goes bobbing for apples in your underwear. It's because they want to let you know that you're going to line up and they're going to put their hands on you. They're going to get in your space because they know they're criminals and they know they're going to suck off of you. And they want to shut down the economy as fast as they can so that whatever money's left, you'll grovel from them. This is why they want to wreck the land of milk and honey. This is why they want to butcher society. They know what they're doing. And I went and got the guys lunch today, or a late afternoon lunch, as a surprise. There's a little soup place that has soup and grilled cheeses and stuff on South Lamar. And there were stacks of, there was like 3 or 4 left of InfoWars magazine. It's in 3 or 4 days on the street. We beta tested in Austin. 50,000 copies were put out. Again, 40,000 sold out in just a few a day and a half or so at Infowars.com. But the point is that that's being shipped out to everybody right now starting Monday. But the reason I get into this is I'm sitting there waiting 10 minutes while they cook the 5 sandwiches and everything and get it ready. And I'm sitting there in the shade outside reading my own magazine / newspaper. And I watch people walk up and go, ooh, Alex Jones, man, cool, glad there's some left. Oh, yeah, cool. And I'm sitting there, and nobody recognizes me because I'm sitting kind of on the corner. And then these 2 trendies come up, and they go, what's this? Ooh, that's Alex Jones, InfoWars. Oh, man, that's bad. In fact, what did he say exactly? He's like, ooh, that's not good. Ooh. As if, oh, my gosh, it's not good that I have a magazine. And I wasn't sure he meant that I was bad until he saw me sitting there and went, oh, and turned around to his girlfriend and was like, that's him. Oh, my gosh, he's so crazy. And when I drove off, they were out there with hula hoops, because I guess they have a little trendy area right there. And they were doing hula hooping and acting like children, which is fine. But the issue is I can't imagine that guy in hard times if all this stuff unfolds. Where I'm here covering all these real issues, and they've been instinctively taught if anybody says, hey, we should be informed, we should be involved, they're like, ooh, that's a nasty bad man. Get away from me, you're evil. Oh, he's got a magazine. Oh. Every trendy knows that there's no such thing as a private Federal Reserve, there's no world government, and fluoride is good for your brain. Evil conspiracy theorists say that. Of course, that's causing people a problem now when all over the news they're announcing, oh, a global government has been set up and 6 banks run it, and they're going to raise your taxes to pay off debts they created. But the police are watching you if you don't like it. So we've gone from world government doesn't exist or world government is here, and there are literally thousands of studies since the 20s that fluoride added to water increases cancer and also creates lethargy and lower IQs. Here's Fox News. Fluoride in drinking water hurting your brain. Here's Reuters. The reason I talk about this is it just came out a few weeks ago, and I actually had somebody today, one person also laugh at me on the street when I was at the park and say, oh, it's the guy that thinks they put fluoride in the water. Not only am I wrong to think it's bad for me, thinking there's fluoride in the water doesn't exist. You have to understand. Harvard study finds fluoride lowers IQ, published in Federal Government Journal. That's Reuters. Again, here is a bunch of other reports on it. Natural Society, breaking, major Harvard study published in Federal Government Journal confirms fluoride IQ reduction, massive reductions, long-term use as much as 20 IQ points off the. So if your child would have had 100, they're going to be an 80, which is a low-grade moron, nearly retarded. If you would have been 140, you'll be 120. 140 is genius. So, hey, but I understand. People that have been drinking fluoride go, listen to the funny man. He said the fluoride in there. And okay, fine. Listen. Okay, I understand. I'm the bad man. I would have had 160 IQ. I only got 140. I grew up in Dallas drinking fluoride water so strong and make your head spin. Tasted like gasoline. I didn't know about fluoride when I was a kid. I just knew I got sick when I drank tap water. And always loved it when I could get a hold of spring water. You know, I played sports, you name it, and I learned to dread tap water. I learned to dread brushing my teeth because it gave me a headache. My dad was a dentist, is a dentist. So there you go. Doesn't matter how. Harvard says they looked at more than a dozen. Yeah, it's actually 20-plus studies of major scientific groups and universities and found it does lower IQ. They've done city-by-city comparisons. Oh, but again, I've been sent videos all over the U.S. You've seen them. They're all over YouTube. I've seen it here in Austin when I've had Dr. Connick go speak at the city council, preeminent toxicologist, university professor. I can have Dr. Blaylock, brain surgeon, come out. You can send them to the city council where I live, and it's indicative of other cities, and sit there and present it, and the mayor will laugh or walk off. We're paying for a toxic waste over $1,200,000 a year. I've shown the bills here on air. For a toxic waste, they'd have to pay in Florida to store. Instead, they put it in our drinking water. And it's funny. Hey, Formula One makes billions. We shouldn't have to pay for this. Ha, ha, ha. I'm laughing at you. And all the trendies, when they laugh, go, ha, 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 and laugh with them. So this is what is happening. And no wonder the Russians, Lenin and Stalin in the 20s and 30s, on record, it's in Pulitzer Prize-winning 2 different books. And then the Nazis picked it up from them when they were sharing stuff during the Soviet/Nazi pact when they divided up Poland, that if you put 3 parts per million fluoride in the water, it created docile people who were not very smart. Now, that's to get somebody in just a few months who's in your camp. If you give somebody 1.5 parts per million, like they do in the U.S., and you do it over a few years, it builds up in the synapse, in the pineal gland, in the pituitary, well, everywhere. And that's why you can't get upset. That's why you're giggling and drooling right now, and it's funny time. And listen to the funny man. I'm going to go watch preseason football. You were hit by a chemical lobotomy, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. But those of us that are still able to operate through this fog, we have a right to sue, you name it, these cities that are not removing this, when it's literally thousands of medical journals, okay? Now, I said I'd go to your calls. The point is, you want to wonder why the government wants tyranny? Because it's run by special interests that are robbing us from every different angle you can imagine. The fluoride is a scam. They make us pay to be poisoned. You have to, now they're announcing all over the city where I live, they're going to put up in parks and in parking lots and everywhere else meters to help pay for the Formula One. I mean, it's all a scam. It's all a fraud. They got Tim, John, Eric, Skip, Alan, Dean, Jeff, Scott, Aaron, John, Alexander, Scott, and others. And let's do this. Let's start at the bottom and go to the top. We always start at the top and go to the bottom. This is Helter Skelter. We get to the bottom, we go to the top again. Let's go to Scott in Colorado. Scott, you're on the air. Welcome.
How you doing?
You're on the air worldwide, sir. Can you talk?
Hey, Alex.
Do you have energy?
Yes, I do.
Hit me hard.
You know, it keeps coming out more and more. They're picking up their pace against us. And we, the American people, those that are waking people up, we have to step it up, like you said. I have banners. I probably have 13 banners sitting here right now. And I've made my own business cards of InfoWars, and I've been passing those out, too.
Well, so, Scott, you're awesome. I'm sorry if I sounded irritating at the beginning of the call. I'm just very, very angry about all this. And it makes me very upset that we have a technocratic elite. There's an article on Infowars.com today where they have all these top scientists openly saying they want a world government to carry out our extermination. Well, they're already exterminating us. Cancer, viruses in the vaccines, fluoride in the water, and I'm sick of it. I'm a bad man, though, because I don't like being poisoned.
Well, I'm a bad man because I tell my family, don't consume fluoride, don't consume fluoride. But even though they look at me strange, they're starting to come around. And the thing that got me last week is that judge in Texas there in Lubbock County where King of the Hill, Peggy's from, is how he said he's getting ready. And it made me stop. I mow lawns for a living. It made me stop, and I started to shed a tear for this country because we now have credible people coming out and saying Obama's bad news. And he's what can I say, Alex? What can I say?
No, you're absolutely right. And for those that don't know, our military was told last year and this year on C-SPAN in the Armed Services Committees, we have the clips, we played them ad nauseum, that NATO and the UN commands our military and that Congress isn't over our military. That is red alert high treason. We're following UN edicts for Obama to shut down power plants. Congress didn't pass that law. We are under, look, they're appointing presidents in places like Italy and Greece right now that are former Goldman Sachs heads. God bless you. Keep it up, brother. We're going to go to break, and I promise try to go to calls quick when we come back. But let me take you out to break with the county judge. That's the, like the mayor of the county out in Lubbock on local Fox saying we got to get ready for the government to be handed over to the UN. Here it is.
Judge Head says he and the county must be prepared for many contingencies, one that he particularly fears if President Obama is reelected.
He is going to try to hand over the sovereignty of the United States to the UN. Mm-hmm. Okay, what's going to happen when that happens? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking worst case scenario.
Right,
okay?
I understand.
Civil unrest, civil disobedience, civil war, maybe. I mean, we're not talking just a few riots here and demonstrations. We're talking Lexington, Concord, take up arms and get rid of the guy. Mm-hmm. Okay, now what's going to happen if we do that? If the public decides to do that? Mm-hmm. He's going to send in UN troops. I don't want them in Lubbock County, okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to stand in front of their armored personnel carriers and say, you're not coming in here. Mm-hmm. And the sheriff, I've already asked him, I said, are you going to back me? He said, yeah, I'll back you.
Yeah, the sheriff's going to back him. But here's the deal. It isn't going to be Obama. Obama's a puppet. It'll be our military, but taking UN orders. It already is. I mean, do I need to come back from break and play you the clips in the Senate Armed Services and House Armed Services? This went on for 3 months where they would come back and they'd say, now, you're going to admit Congress makes war, Congress declares war, Congress has the purse, you got to go to Congress. Nope, we get NATO authorization. Yeah, but you got to come to Congress. They don't go to Congress now for anything. And Congress sits there and takes it. So it is up to the states in nullification, 10th Amendment, to say no to this. But, folks, this is a world government. Should I play the clip on CNBC where they say we've been conquered by world government?